Hello, everybody, and welcome. Back for another episode of the Hobo Slayers Podcast. This is episode 9, I believe. And today I have with me the one and only snipereye2010.
The one and only. Thanks for that.
No problem,
Yeah,
man.
how's it going, everyone?
So, again, welcome. I'm glad to have you back. Have you this week. We meant to do this last week, and then through a confusion of schedules, we had to postpone it. So, glad to
Yeah, we
have
didn't
you.
have a time set. So I'm glad to be here, man. Glad to finally freaking be here, man. With my other job being in away so many Saturdays, I couldn't join. And finally, I started getting weekends off. I was like, yes, finally.
Duh. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, Sniper 2010 is a fellow Alabama streamer. And so the other job, I believe told me, was the GameStop one.
Yeah, working at GameStop, helping fuel the hobby.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, what better way?
Yeah, you're not lying, especially since A, I get discounts up there. B, I can try out any game I want, so it really works out.
Yeah, 'cause, I mean, you were and actually you on your channel, you've been playing one of those games that you've been able to try out,
Yeah,
the zombie game.
Zombie Army 4. Yeah, Zombie Army 4, Dead War. It's Sniper Elite meets Nazi zombies, and it's actually been a lot of fun, and I'm thinking about buying it.
So that's something interesting. I mean, of course, you wouldn't want to just like go work at GameStop just to be able to try new games, but it's definitely a perk of being able to work there.
Oh yeah, definitely. I just really needed the money more than anything, and then all the perks fell in line with streaming, so it was like, okay, this job's actually worth it, and then some.
Yeah. So speaking of streaming, why don't you tell us about you and your channel a bit?
So I mainly love to play first person and third person shooters like Battlefield 5, Call of Duty, Division 2, Apex Legends. Every now and then I throw in something different. Like I know there was one night I was having a community night where I was just chilling out, talking with the community more than anything. I was playing Jurassic Evolutions, but I mainly stick with shooters. We have on Wednesdays what we call War Game Wednesday, which is typically Battlefield 5 because it's a massive online 64-player war game. And I especially love chatting with viewers and playing with viewers. Like I tell everyone every single stream, if I'm playing a multiplayer game, come join. I don't mind at all.
I've even joined you a couple times for that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we finally got you into Battlefield 5 and got you turned into a soldier, so
Sort of. It's one of those things that the more you play it and the more you hear the terms, the easier it gets. But
exactly.
um, it's funny. I was playing was it Division 2 with you the other day, and we weren't using the war terms, but I was using terms that you weren't used to me saying.
Yeah, exactly. And then you know me, of course, it's so ingrained in me. I was using them even in that. So you're like, you're like, dude, these are supposed to be civilians. I'm like, I'm never a civilian when I'm playing a game.
Yeah, because I was we had, what was it, three of them that came around the corner. I was like, three bogeys ahead.
Yep. And then we got to the next intersection. I was like, hey, I got 4 tangos in the middle of the intersection. You're like, tangos? What?
Because you swapped it up on me.
Oh yeah.
I wasn't expecting the swap up. I should have expected it, but I just wasn't.
That's part of who I am, man. You hang around enough military guys, believe me, you're going to use the terms in gaming.
Oh yeah, I understand. So you play a lot of, like you said, first person shooters and third person shooters, which fall. I hear third person shooter, but it's always a first person shooter genre, so to speak. But
Yeah, that's very true.
yeah,
I mean, they're shooters nonetheless. It's dealing with weapons. It's not dealing with swords and arrows. Like I've tried Elder Scrolls and such, and it's not my cup of tea. Mainly because the fast action, so close moving across the screen, messes with my head. It makes it hard for me to react. versus with shooters, I can have a little bit of distance. When it's the over-the-shoulder camera, it's even better. But I still love my first-person shooters. Like first one I ever played was way back in the N64 days. Of course, everyone's going to be like, "Oh, well, of course he played this GoldenEye 64," but still. And then it was PS2. Then moved on to the Xbox original with Halo, and after Halo, I was hooked.
Mm-hmm. So it's funny you said that. You mentioned the uh, uh, sorry, I just train of
You're
thought
good.
left and I went blanked out. uh, maybe I'll remember it later. So
Yeah. See, we're doing it live.
it's just the joys of streaming. You can be
Oh
mid
yeah,
thought and just like, okay, what was I saying?
exactly.
Oh,
That's one of the things I love, man. It's not scripted. It's all pure reaction.
right. Oh, that's funny. Uh, so it's funny right now. Cause I'm the one. Cause I'm playing host this week. I'm the one hosting and interviewing you, and it's funny because we're doing this call through Discord, and because the team channel is hooked up to Miss Hobo Slayers Discord, uh, uh, her account, it
Right.
shows she's streaming this.
That is pretty funny. I'm not gonna lie, man.
I've never seen that happen before, but that's interesting. So, uh, that's what caused me to train of thought. I was like, why does it say she's streaming Hobo Slayers podcast? It's gonna be funny when she goes live and it's like, oh, she's streaming twice.
Yeah.
I'll see how that works.
I I wonder if she'll see it too. She'll probably get the shock of her life. Be like, "Who's on my account?"
She knows the podcast is going.
Right.
Um, so trying to get back to what I was where I was trying to go with that. So, like you said, you stream mostly first person shooters.
hmm
Um, and what platform are you on?
I'm on the Xbox One. I definitely want to get a PC eventually. The upgrade the stream and play some first-person shooters are exclusive to the PC. But the easiest thing for me at the time was getting an Xbox One. I've always been an Xbox guy. So when I bought the Xbox One and it had Twitch on there, it made it much more convenient for me. So that was how I got started into streaming was thanks to the Xbox One. But I play on there mainly. I try to run the same name on everything. The only thing I couldn't lock in was on Twitter, so I had to put an underscore in there. But other than that, it's my gamer tag, it's my Twitch handle. So it's snipereye2010 wherever I can be.
Okay, and I just thought of what I was going to say. You mentioned you don't like Elder Scrolls because of the differences in it. So I actually
It's
generally play those games as like a more like a rogue. So usually
right.
I'm like an archer distance. So I play it like an FPS game where I'm more of a distance taking on off of shots.
And see, I've tried doing that, and it's just for me, it's not as fun being able to stick to only like one weapon class in that game. Don't get me wrong, it's not that I'm saying it's a bad game or whatever. It's just it's a game I can't play. That being said, I love watching people play in it. I love when people use mods to see what different things are out there. I had a friend of mine, she was playing through with it. She had every book she collected on an actual bookshelf, and I loved
Mm-hmm.
seeing that. So it's just one of them games I don't have as much fun with it, unfortunately, because I'm stuck with one class or one weapon type. And it's just, well, I say it's not that's not for everyone. It's just not for me.
Right. It's just there's not been very much like you said. There's you can do multiple classes, but then you have to level
Right.
up, and it takes forever. It's like they don't have. It's not like D&D where you can do right off the gate with multi-classing and do whatever you want to do. And
Well, it's not even that. It's just being stuck as an archer. Because like I said, whenever I pick up a sword or some sort of close weapon in that game, because the enemies are so close in my face, and I can't usually get the peripheral view fixed up like I want, and it moves so fast, it messes with my head. It's like the best way I can describe it, if that makes sense.
gotcha. Okay. Yeah, that does make sense. Okay. So you said going back. Sorry to be all over the place here. Because
You're all right.
I happened to get that thought back. So streaming from the Xbox, what is that like?
So when I first saw the Twitch app, it was one of the deals I never even heard about Twitch to begin with. Keep in mind this was about 4 or 5 years ago, give or take, maybe even longer than that now. And I heard whispers about it. So I got on there, created an account, was watching streamers play, and then I noticed one day on the app it had a broadcast set up. I was like, so wait, I can go ahead and start doing what I'm seeing other streamers do, broadcast my gameplay, and then be able to chat with users. So I gave it a try. The game that I picked up with the Xbox One originally was the Division One of all things. It was a bundle where I was able to get the game, the DLC, and everything for it for free. So I tried doing that. I started having a lot of fun with it. I noticed that I had a lot of crazy moments that would be recorded on stream, and then I started trying to look into how to face cast with it as well. And the Xbox One, as most people know, came with the Kinect, which is a little camera that tracks. So I got it, set it up, and went on from there. So it's nice to be able to stream from the Xbox as far as convenience goes, but it definitely has its own challenges. I will say that.
Okay, yeah, yeah, because like some of those challenges, like I've seen, because I serve as one of your mods, and so like you've on more than one occasion had the scenario where 1 minute it says your category is Battlefield 5, and then like 10 minutes later it's like the category is gone.
Yeah, so the main thing with that is with the app, it loves to throw in special symbols or whatever, like watermarks or trademarks. And so with that, I have to stay on top of it because the app's trying to say, hey, this is the proper game he's playing. But then when it translates to the website, it's like, why are you putting these special symbols in there? This is not a category. So that is one of the many challenges with it. I have to stay on top of it. Every time I go and start to stream, I have to use my dashboard on the computer to make sure I'm updating the game and the title, and I'll have to make sure I update the game multiple times before it finally clicks into the stream. So yeah, that's definitely one of the bigger challenges with it, and it's one of the things I've tried talking with Twitch to make sure they can keep the app updated. But back when they put the Twitch app on the Xbox One, it was the go-to streaming platform, and now Xbox is trying to compete with Mixer, and it's causing all sorts of headaches as far as streaming from the console goes.
Gotcha. Yeah. So I will say, you're not alone in that. I ran into an issue streaming yesterday actually where the website wouldn't even like you would type in Division Two, click the button,
hmm
click save, and it would not update.
Yeah, see, I've had that happen plenty of times, and so that's why I try to stay on top of it the best I can. So.
Yeah, I end
Usually I
up
do that at the beginning of each stream, so.
I end up using the bot to change the game category. It worked. So
Hey, that's why I always tell everyone, if it works, it works.
yeah. So what games have you been playing lately?
Here lately, I've been getting back into Division 2 with the new DLC coming out Tuesday for the Warlords of New York. I went ahead and used the level 30 booster to get another level 500 character up. I've been playing it just for fun, try to see what new weapons I can get before the game comes out. And then, like I said, with the past Wednesdays, we've been doing War Game Wednesday on Battlefield 5 just because we've gotten some seriously crazy moments out of that game been recorded. And come to find out, airplanes don't like me.
Yeah, I really don't.
But
So
that's been the main ones I've been playing lately. So
yep, I played a little bit of Division Two with you. I've been mostly because I have it both PC and Xbox. Because
right,
with PC, you don't really get you can't get the still case. Like you
yeah.
can't, and so I was like, I want to play it on PC so I can play with friends. But then I was like, I want that still case. So I went and bought it again for Xbox. So I've had it for a
Funny
year.
enough, you mentioned that.
Uh huh.
Sorry, go ahead and finish your saying. You're
Uh,
saying you've had it for a year. Sorry, I
yeah.
didn't mean
So
to
I was like,
interrupt.
I had it for a year, but I didn't. Until I played it with you, I hadn't opened the Xbox version
Oh my goodness.
because
No, when I
I played
bought
on
the
PC
game,
the whole time.
there you go. Yeah, because that's the only downside with PC games. You can't get cases for them. It's all digital.
Yep.
But no, the funny thing is, you mentioned that still case. When I bought the Division 2, I went ahead and got the Ultimate Edition.
Yep. That's what
And
I
then I
got.
saw the gold, and then the gold edition had a different steel case. I was like, oh God, I really want it because it had the beautiful artwork on there. So now I had a coworker of mine. She picked it up. She does not keep her games in the cases at all. She's like, "Hey, I know you really want this still case. Here you go." So I actually have both still cases for the Division Two.
Nice. Yeah, I didn't realize the gold case had a different one. Otherwise, I probably would have got it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. When I saw it, I lost it. And then at the same time, they saw there was like a little flashbang keychain that they got for me. It was cheap, so they know I'm a Division Two guy. I even got a hat for it.
Yep. So, yeah, I understand that completely. I actually, I think you saw my tweet yesterday where I went to GameStop. So I ended up,
Yeah.
I was going to grab some food and I was like, hey, there's just GameStop right over here. Why don't I just go over here and reserve Last of Us 2? And I was like, oh, wait, LA Edition sold out, which is the really expensive one. I was like,
Yeah.
it's like, I think the only difference between it and the collectors is the backpack. It's like, I don't want the backpack. I got plenty of backpacks. It's like, I'll get the collector edition. So I put a little bit down. I didn't pay the full price. I put a little bit down. It's like, yeah, I, I, I just got the collector's edition. Thankfully, I got paid yesterday, so I was like, that worked out. But yeah, it's like, I was like, I really want that still case.
Amen to that, man. That's one thing I love collecting some steel cases and some exclusives from video games. So, like, I've actually got a Stars badge from Resident Evil 2 that my coworkers were like, "Dude, we know how much you love the game. We know you're gonna want this." And I was like, "Yeah, definitely."
Yeah. Okay. So yeah. So how have when did you get back into the? Because you said mentioned the Warlords DLC coming out. When did you get back in Division Two?
I haven't played on stream as much as I can remember. We played it. I played it originally when it first came out, and I was playing it for a while. Then, as each DLC came out for it, I tried to stream them, but they didn't last as long. It usually would last only for one stream. So then I saw the whole stream coming from the makers of Division 2 talking about the Warlords of New York. When they did that and they announced that with episode 3, the preparations for that DLC were coming, I started playing it more and more because, as we all know, it's a looter shooter.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like I've been getting the chameleon as exotic assault rifle. I went ahead and used the level 30 booster, and that was about a little over a week ago, I want to say, that it finally got me back into it, grinding for those gears pieces and make sure I got all the weapons and it's make sure I have a second class set up. So it's been about a good week or so, if I had to put a timeline on it.
Okay, so about like I have. But
Right.
how long had it been before that you last played it?
Episode 3 came out. That was about 2 or 3 weeks. Before that, a couple of months because the game's good. Don't get me wrong, but as as far as streaming it on Twitch, there's only so much you can do without repeating it over and over.
Right.
And I noticed the exclusive moments we got from Battlefield 5 versus Division 2 were more so in Battlefield 5. Like Division 2, we would see the same thing over and over again. Yeah, we were grinding for the gear, make sure we get this one gear piece, or going for this one weapon versus with like Battlefield 5 or Call of Duty, there was more fluid things that would happen because yeah, the gameplay may be the same, but there was always something crazy that happened in it. So for me, Division 2 was something that it was a 1 to 30 level experience that we streamed. And even then, not a lot of people were being as entertained by it. So I would try to stream as much as I can. But after we completed the core story, it was one of them deals that we kind of put it down until the next DLC came out, which I know once Warlords of New York comes out, it's going to be a whole new experience because they've already said there's going to be a whole new map dealing with downtown Manhattan
Mm-hmm.
and you get to explore all of its one-to-one scale. So I know at that point it's probably gonna be a little bit more often. Like I said earlier to you, actually, I think we're even talking about opting out of War Game Wednesday with Battlefield 5 for next Tuesday and Wednesday just to stream it because I know it's gonna be so much to explore and so much to do.
Right. Yeah. So I got back into it with. So I played when it first came out last year, and I quit around the time of the raid because
Right.
I have a clan. I'm in a clan, and the clan we tried the raid 3 times, never could beat it. And that was back when it took 8 hours to beat the raid.
Exactly. Yeah. It was one of the deals that raid, honestly, it was not well thought out. They said they did not want to lower the difficulty on it. They wanted to be something that players had to fight to beat, and that was the moment that I started to get out of the Division 2 a little bit because when you put content into a game, it should be something that's accessible to every player. Like there should be nothing locked behind it. It should be one of the deals that hey, there is a way of beating this, even if you're not the best player out there and you have a good team. when I tried that raid, it was with a group of guys for a half hour that had been doing it for well over a half hour when I joined
Mm-hmm.
in. And it was one of the deals that whenever they tried to do it, the first boss alone they couldn't beat, and it started kicking them in the butt, and they lost morale, and they were just like, you know what, I'm done trying this raid. So after that, that's when I started to get out of it myself as well, because it's one of them deals. Yeah, the content's there, but if you can't beat it for that, there's no point in trying, I guess. It's not like we are getting anything special from it. The gear sets were okay. The assault rifle was meh. So we were content not having to do it.
Yeah,
That's one thing I'm glad they didn't bring out was another raid. If they had brought out another raid like that, I know they would have alienated a lot of their gamers from the console, from the PC, just from the player base in general.
right. I'm looking now because I'm trying to remember when I trying not to make it to where because every single one of these sites that you post about these episodes is like, it's like, oh, you want to watch a video while you're at it, right? Because them talking about it. See, episode one. When did the raid come out? Episode one or two?
I believe it was pre-episode 1, if I remember
Okay,
correctly. That or it was tied in with episode 1.
which one was?
Uh, the raid. It was tied in with episode 1, or it was like right before it. I know it
Okay,
was.
I think it was because episode one, I believe it was the wasn't that when they debuted the tidal basin?
Yeah, that's when they debuted the Tidal Basin base that Black Tusk used, and that was a big change to the map. So it used to be if you went to the south side of the map towards the riverfront, there was like trees galore blocking the view. There was no way of getting to the river itself. And then one day they announced episode 1. They said, "Hey, we're gonna bring this whole new area, Tidal Basin." And next thing we know, that whole area just opened up. And next thing you know, there's an armored wall. There's hovercrafts there. There's a lot of military equipment. It's like, oh, okay, so we have a whole new base here we've got to take on.
Yeah,
And then actually taking it on, let me think, there was at least 3 bosses in there from what I remember, and there was new turrets, there was whole new areas you had to explore, helicopters, the works, and it was a massive update. And that was really the only episode where they changed the map itself versus having exterior maps you traveled to.
right. So episode one, tidal basin, was where I stopped at. So I have all that episode two and three content to catch up on.
To be honest with you, episode 2 was more of a letdown, to be honest, because they introduced 2 new maps that were missions you got to do. It was the Manning National Zoo and then Camp White Oak, which both in and of themselves were long enough missions that they were fun.
Mm-hmm.
But then besides that, there was a Kenley College. They kind of lock each time it comes out. It lasts for about 3 weeks. It's 3 different little things you can do, but they feel so short for a DLC episode.
Right. Yeah. I did do the Kenley College one where you had the three uh, things you have to go through, and was it like a? It's almost like a mystery type thing you're trying to solve or something like
Yeah.
that. So I did do
So the
that.
Kenley
Yeah.
Yeah, the Kenley College was more investigating echoes in each area. And the thing I didn't like about it at launch was at launch, they were locked. The first one even itself was locked until 2 days after it released. Then the first investigation was unlocked. The second one wouldn't unlock for a week, and the third one wouldn't unlock a week after that. And that one was not the best episode released for it at all.
Yeah. So I've done the three different ones of that. But I think there's like two more. Cause that was just like I no, I guess I said because I got the exotic. So I guess I'm done with Kenley College. I guess.
Yeah, and that was the only reason people even did it was it gave you one exotic rifle, which even it's not the best weapon in the game. People
Hmm.
just want to say, hey, yeah, I did beat it. I know the story of it. Once you've done that, there's really no reason to go back to it.
Right. And I think that was really it. Was just the Kenley College and minor updates to various
Right.
pieces. So I
Exactly.
so that was episode two. So I guess what I have now that I'm on is episode three. I guess.
Right. So episode 3 came with, well, actually pre-episode 3, they came out with a Pentagon release, which is a whole new map, and that one's actually pretty massive, and that takes several hours to beat. And then there was Coney Island, which is like the pre-Warlords of New York DLC. It was the tease towards Warlords of New York, because you go to Coney Island, New York. It's, if people don't know what Coney Island is, it's a massive amusement park on an island. And you're going there, you're dealing with the Black Tusk. They're meeting up with the rogue agent from the Division One, Aaron Keener, who is handing off a virologist we chased after in Division One of Vitaly Chernenko. If you didn't play Division One, it was the Russian consulate mission. He was one of the guys who helped out the creator of the green poison, aka the smallpox virus that was modified,
Mm-hmm.
and he had information on how to create the antiviral. So now in episode 3, we're going after him to help mass produce the antivirals. The Pentagon mission was to help get this the centrifuge type machine. I don't know how best to describe it because it's above my head in science, but it allows us to mass produce the cure. And then the agents find out, hey, Aaron Keener's here. He's one of our top targets that we really need to hunt down. And so it's kind of like a prelude to Warlords of New York. And I really did like it because they brought back the cleaners into it.
Yep.
And so it gave us a whole new enemy to face. And then Warlords of New York is going to have the cleaners. It's going to have the Rikers back as well. And on top of that, we're going to be facing new versions of Black Tusk. It's going to be members of the Last Man Battalion, which was another paramilitary organization in New York, joining up with them. So we're going to see all new enemy types. And that's one thing I'm really excited about. Because I feel like with this, the episodes were good. They definitely brought more story to the table. Episode 3 especially was a good way of getting us prepared for it. But the Warlords in New York itself is going to be the whole new game changer, especially with the new updates they said they're bringing to the gear.
Right. So I'm looking at a map right now of it. I have not done Camp White Oak. I have
That
not.
is the one
Mm-hmm.
from episode 2. Sorry, go ahead.
No. Okay, so that's episode 2. I have not done that yet. I have not done Coney Island or Maine National Zoo, and I have not done Pentagon. So I still have a
Okay,
good bit of content to do.
right.
So that's kind of where I'm at it, and I just picked it up, but the game back up last week. So I think the day I played with you, which was what, last Friday?
I won't say it was, yeah.
Yeah, so that was like the second day I played it. So I've been playing it about a week, pick it back up for about a week now, and so I played it almost every day. Most of it's been not necessarily. Most of it's been trying to get that specialization leveled up,
Right,
rather than focusing on the main missions. Because as I started going through it, I realized, oh, okay, all these different missions that I hadn't done, like Klingon and stuff like that, is going to fall into these specializations anyways.
right,
Like
exactly.
the main national zoo was probably like tier 2 or something like that. So it's like if I'm gonna have to do that anyways, I was just like I might as well just do the specialization and just go through it naturally.
Exactly. Yeah, I did notice that here recently with the Division 2, they've been trying to make it more fluent into how you go into these missions. That's one thing I've been loving about it. The only thing I hadn't really liked about the Division 2 as of late really is they haven't done any major core changes to the game that's improved it. But that's one thing I'm looking forward to that's coming with the Warlords of New York DLC, because they've, the biggest thing they haven't really addressed as far as the game goes is skills in general. They did a little update a while back where they buffed them and it was okay, but it felt like the same game from launch to now with a few tweaks here and there. And then the next one's going to be the major update where they really change it up. And then, yeah, like you said, I mean, if you're going to go through the mission anyways with it, why go ahead and do it anyways? So that's been the only downfall to the Division 2. Once you go through a mission the first time, it kind of gets a little repetitive and boring to go through them over and over again. That's one of the main reasons I personally hadn't streamed it as much as I have been other games in the past.
Right. And if you're just joining in to the chat here, we're talking about Division 2 because this is a game that Sniper I2010 and I have both played. And so we're just kind of comparing our experiences with the game and coming back to the game after so long. And actually, one thing I want to bring up was you mentioned like it's very repetitive and it's not very good for. I won't say it's good for streaming. It's more, but it's the competitiveness versus Battlefield 5. So Battlefield
Right,
5, it is repetitive in Battlefield 5 in the sense that you're playing the same maps, but it's not like Division is where because Division is like you end up with this one map and you have these different districts set up. But these different districts are under invasion from the terrorist group, whichever one it is this week.
Right.
And so each week a different area of the map is under invasion, and so you're just rotating through that. So even after you complete the whole map into all the areas, the following, because like there's 3 areas I believe that where it's under invaded.
Right.
Within that area, it's three districts, and so you have these 3 districts under invaded this week. There's other 3 next week, and 3 more the week after that. But after those 3 weeks is up, it just rotates back to the starts over again. So it's very repetitive. So every 3 weeks, you're back running the same missions you did 3 weeks ago.
Exactly.
And so that's where the repetitiveness comes in for the game. And so one thing I've been doing, and this is more because of the fact that I'm so behind, is I run through the missions, and then when I max out all my inventory, I just throw everything in the stash, and off stream I do all the leveling my gear up and stuff like that. And so the stream is more on the action.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, that was one of the things that, for me, that's where it started to lose out on it because yeah, it was the same action over and over. Because when you play the game from launch and you have the same missions for well over a year, yeah, they can get a little repetitive and then some.
Yeah. And so I'm lucky enough right now where I'm far enough behind on my character that it's not repetitive unless I'm just like constantly farming for equipment or something like that. Then it becomes repetitive. That's why I do that part off stream.
Exactly.
Like if I happen to get the gear I need, great. But I'm not going to check it until I'm off stream and I go, okay, is that what I was looking for or not?
Right.
So
And then, like you said, it doesn't necessarily have a competitive element to it because Division Two has been more about player versus enemies, the AIs, and they do have multiplayer modes in it, but that's not the core aspect of the game, and it's not the best done anyways. I will say the Dark Zones was definitely one of the most interesting things I saw coming with the Division 1 and 2
mhm.
because you don't know who's an enemy and who's not. You're doing the same things you do in the core game, going in there grinding for loot that you can only get in the Dark Zone, and yet it's contaminated and you have to extract it out. But that being said, the multiplayer itself where you're facing each other, it's not as fun. The game's more of a looter shooter for PvE than anything else.
Right. And now I will say I liked the Dark Zone on Division 1 much better than Division 2. Division 2,
Agreed.
I am so confused when I go in there.
Yep. They said that each Dark Zone is supposed to cater to a gameplay style. Like I think they said the East Dark Zone was meant to be more all around, dealing with assault rifles and mid range. The Southern one was more close quarters because the streets were so tight knit. So if you have a shotgun and some closer weapons like SMGs, it was good. And then the Western Dark Zone was meant to be more long range. So for snipers and marksman rifles, it's a good area.
So,
And compared to Division One, I'm the same way. I like Division One's Dark Zone, the massive area, much better than Division Two's 3 separate zones.
well, it wasn't even that. It's like when you went into the Dark Zone Division 1, you had basically set objectives when you went in. I
Right.
went into Division Two's Dark Zone. I've only done it once, and I have not went back because I was so confused the first time. So I went in there, and it's like, okay, what do I do now? Like you get your mission, but once you complete that mission to unlock it, it's like after that point, going through the Dark Zone after you completed the unlocking quest, it's like there's nothing to do because you don't. Everything's just like it's just open. It's like go do whatever, and like I clicked on this thing, and it's like you were doing something with this thing on the wall, and I don't know what it was, but after I did like 3 or 4 of them, it says, "Oh, you're now rogue." I'm like, "What? I didn't kill nobody. Why am I rogue?"
Yeah.
And so that
Yeah.
confusion of things is just like it's so different in the first one. The first one is like you had to kill somebody, another player, in order to actually go rogue.
Exactly. And that was one of the things that I feel like the concept of the Dark Zone was good in concept, and actual practicality is it doesn't work out the best.
Yes.
Division One's Dark Zone, I remember there was guys who would purposely try to get in your way of shooting enemies in order to make you go rogue, and then they would kill you to steal all your gear. They did an update to where that was no longer the case. It took a lot more ammo than that to go rogue. Because it used to be if you shot just one bullet, bam, you're rogue. And then they were like, oh no, you got to dump half a mag into them and then you go rogue. and there were still guys doing that. But even then, the dark zone's not the best area because A, you don't know what you're getting. You can see a basis of what you're getting. You can't see the stacks until you extract it. B, when you go to extract, it's the most vulnerable area of the dark zone, and people who want to play rogue and just want to go around killing people can ruin that for you in a heartbeat.
Mm-hmm.
Because where it's Division 1 or 2, you can spend 30 minutes grinding for gear, and then the moment you try to get out of there, someone can go, no, I'm going to kill you, and next thing you know, you're not getting any of it.
Yeah. Well, like I said though, in my case, it was more like I went in against another person. Like I went a whole half hour rogue in Division 2 because I was just going around doing those things. It's like I want to see what gear I get out of this thing because if it's gonna make me rogue, there's gonna be something going on. And I got killed by the
Yeah.
NPC.
And even then, it's not really worth going rogue. Like when people do go rogue in the dark zone, I'm just like, why are you even doing that? Instead of doing that, let's get the whole zone working together and we all get gear together versus going rogue. The most you could do is if you get to 100% on this one status for it, you can go into an underground safe house, and even then, it gives you like one or two pieces, and then that's it. It resets your rogue status, and you level up a little bit, and then that's it. It doesn't unlock any caches. There's no objective for doing so. It's one of them deals that it was nice in concept, but in practicality, it's just one of them things that it's unique, but it's not really worth it.
Yeah, it's funny. I've been playing so much lately. I saw a notification where one of my friends just started playing Division 2. I've been seeing
Yeah,
that.
I've been meeting people on there. That a lot of my friends get on there. A lot of new people I'm meeting on there. That's one of the things I love about the game. It's a social game for sure.
Oh yeah, and so yeah, it's definitely social. I have lots of friends that play. I'm in a clan with some friends, and it's definitely the social aspect, and um, it's one of those things that you uh, and it's not just that game too. Battlefield's that way as well as some other games.
Oh yeah,
Um, that's one of the great things about a lot of these first person shooters is yes, you get focused on the game, but a lot of people are like, oh, that looks fun. They want to join you as well.
exactly.
And so,
Yeah, I think it was you and a couple other guys from the team hadn't even really seen Battlefield 5's gameplay before, and then while streaming it one night, a couple of y'all dropped by and was like, "Hey, this game actually looks a lot more amazing." And I showed y'all the trailers. I was like, "Okay, the trailers are actually pretty close to the gameplay."
yeah, and that's rare you get that.
Exactly.
Usually your trailers are like cutscenes or something like that, or just like a free camera moving around as someone's playing or something like that. And so it's not true gameplay because it's not what you're seeing as the character.
Exactly. But I'll get back to what you were saying. Yeah, a lot of these games, when it comes to shooters, are big social ones because unless you're playing a single player game, these shooters, when you're playing with a team, you've got to be able to communicate with a team. The ones that don't, those are the ones that usually end up losing. Like
Right.
whenever I get on Call of Duty and I have a 6-man team running through, we're usually on top. If I'm in Battlefield 4 or Battlefield 5 and I'm playing with a 4-man squad, we can usually do a pretty good amount. So yeah, it's definitely the social aspect of it because you've got to be able to communicate and you got to be able to work as a team. And then after a while, you're like, hey, I really enjoy playing with you guys. Let's all squad up again another time.
Yeah. Yeah, I've met a few people to playing, so it's a great thing.
Oh yeah.
Um, what games are you looking forward to this year?
So for me, of course, Doom Eternal because I love Gordon, and the music he makes and the gameplay for it's just simple, arcadish fun for a single player. Resident Evil 3 remake's definitely gonna be my big one because I love the Resident Evil series and the fact they're remaking the games on modern console. I'm loving how they're doing it. Resident Evil 2 was definitely a big cinematic experience for it, and I love that. So I can't wait to see how they do 3. Uh, and then besides that, probably Cyberpunk 2077. I'm definitely going to enjoy that. I normally don't play a lot of RPGs, but whenever I got into Division and Destiny, they started opening up for me, and then I started seeing gameplay for Cyberpunk. I was like, okay, this game's actually going to be pretty fun.
Yeah.
Those are probably going to be my top 3 of this year.
Okay.
Then, of course, there's a few others I want to try out, like Animal Crossing, of course, because, I mean, let's be honest, who's not going to play Animal Crossing?
Me.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, to each their own.
Yeah. I
But, I mean,
yeah.
there's been several coming out this year. I feel like last year was more full games, but this year it's gonna be a little more quiet on the side of shooters and such. But there's still gonna be quite a few good ones coming out.
Well, that's because everybody's pushing everything back to fall or next year.
Yeah,
Because I mean, like,
yeah,
for me personally, I'm only looking forward to like two, maybe three games. Um,
exactly.
yeah. So for me, it's Cyberpunk 2077, um, which is fall, I believe, right?
Yeah, that one comes out September 10th. I want to say. Don't hold me to it. It's
Yeah,
hard to
I'm
remember the
not.
date because they pushed it so far back.
And then Last of Us is May.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to that. I'm probably gonna replay Last of Us before Last of Us 2 comes out.
You know what? I'll even say this. I have actually managed to avoid spoilers from The Last of Us Part 1. Like, I have never seen a gameplay of it. I've never seen a playthrough, never seen videos of it. Because my holdout was I was hoping eventually I'd get a PS4 and just play through it myself. But at this rate, I'm not going to be able to. So, you know what? If you stream it, I'll watch it.
Okay. Yeah, I actually did the same thing. So my only experience with any of the knowledge of it was I had a friend who had the PlayStation 3, and I played like the first 20 minutes of it. He's like, dude, just like he's like, I know you gotta leave because we had a game night at his house back when I lived out that way. And he's like, I know you're about to leave, but look, just check out what this game looks like. And so I played the first like 15 minutes of the game or half hour or something like that, and that's all I saw of it. And then because I never had a PlayStation, I never could go play it. So other than the first 15 minutes, which was nothing. I knew nothing about the story, and I somehow stayed spoiled because I was only because it was one of the things until I got a PlayStation myself, I ignored all PlayStation stuff, so I stayed spoiler free of it until I finally got it and I went and played it.
Exactly. And you know how it is in this day and age, man. People post gameplay on social media. There's Twitch streamers who play through it. So it gets a little difficult trying to avoid spoilers.
Yeah, that was actually the game I was playing when I met affiliate. So yeah,
I'm trying to think. I think it was Battlefield 5 I was playing when we made affiliate, but that's because I really wanted games. Like, don't get me wrong, I love playing single player games, and I will definitely play through on stream, but the ones I love playing more than anything is the multiplayer. Not only so people can see fun little things happening that are different versus single player games, because I mean, let's be honest, most single player games are pretty linear versus multiplayer games. You don't know what's going to happen. But between that and then the fact that viewers can join, that's why I like to play more than anything. But I love good single player experiences.
yep, same here. So yeah, like I was saying, Last of Us 2, looking forward to that. Cyberpunk 2077, and uh, I can't think of what's coming out. I'm drawing a blank on what we get in the fall. The only thing that when it comes to mind is uh, Ubisoft's Gods and Monsters. Just
Yeah,
because,
there's that one.
yeah. Are you familiar with that one?
Yeah, I'm familiar with that one. They're bringing that little Avengers game that's coming out as well in September, which I'm not sure how I feel about it just yet. I got to
After
see a
I
little bit
didn't get
more
the
of it.
last Avengers game that came out last year, but after seeing some gameplay for it, I was like, I'm not unless they prove me wrong. I'm expecting it to be like that.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
like they didn't really set the bar very high for that first one, so we'll see what this comes out. Actually, let me just see what games come out 2020 because I have no idea.
I know there's Watch Dogs Legions, or at least they were planning on it, but now they've pushed it back and don't have a release date for it. Uh,
I have not never played Watch Dogs, so I'm not looking forward to that at all because I don't know anything about it.
Watch Dogs has been more of a tech game, like you're a hacker. And the first one was okay, it was a good story. The second one is where it got more into the gameplay. But the third one, I'm not sure how I feel about it yet because they've only released really one gameplay video of it. And then they were like, hey, we have to push it back because we need to work on it some more.
Right.
So I think it's going to be one of them games that kind of stays under the radar for a while and they're going to tweak it. And then the third one is going to be the one that finally kicks things off on it being a fun game.
Halo Infinite is fall.
That's what I'm watching, but they don't have a release date yet. I say yet because they're talking about bringing it to Xbox One and the Xbox Series X. When that one comes out, definitely getting it.
Yep.
But that's why it's not on my list because they don't have a release date yet.
Yep.
And it could go the path of Halo 2. They could say, yeah, they could say E3, oh, we're going to release it, say, just November 11th.
Right.
And then come September, hey, we actually need to push the game back. The Xbox Series X is getting pushed back anyways. We want to make sure the transition's smooth. Because they've already said there's 2 games now they've confirmed that with the new console, if you get the game for the Xbox One, it's going to basically be just a free upgrade in game to be able to play it on both. And that was Cyberpunk 2077 and Halo Infinite. So the reason that one's not on my list yet is because it's not a definite release of this year.
Right. And another one that's not definitely released this year, it's still being confirmed, but I expect it to end up being 2021, is Skull and Bones.
Yeah, I heard a little bit about that one as well, and that one's looking pretty good.
I love Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. And I know they this looks a lot like the ship sailing and the fighting other ships, things like that on
Right.
from that. So I'm so looking forward to that. I just wish it was not. I just wish it wouldn't keep getting delayed because they delayed it like twice so far.
Yeah, but look at it this way, man. How many times they delay Halo 2? You know, that game received so many delays and such a long delay in between each one. But then when that one came out, that's what makes them fun. That's one reason a lot of these developers pushing their games back doesn't upset me one bit. Because I'd rather them push it back, take their time, and release the game at its best versus get the game out and then the game does not have the polished gameplay. It has a lot of glitches. Best example for me was honestly Battlefield 4, and a lot of people remember Battlefield 4's release. It was the worst game release of its time because the gameplay was so glitchy, the servers were half done, they were disconnecting players left and right, half time you couldn't even get connected. And it took so many updates to finally get that game to a playable level and to where it was actually fun.
Right. I mean,
So I definitely don't ever want a game to be released like that again.
oh, I agree. I'm not saying that at all. It's just there's a difference to me in say Last of Us was pushed back what 2 months, or
Right,
Gods and Monsters is pushed back 6 months, something like that. There's a difference in 6 months and pushing it back a year and then pushing it back another year and just continually
right.
pushing it back.
And with that, you're right. Yeah, there's got to be a certain level of pushback as far as getting the game released versus just keep delaying it. Because
Yeah.
that's one thing that will kill a game's hype real quick.
Yes. And I'm afraid unless they set a date on that Skull and Bones game, it's gonna be that way.
Yeah,
So because
I
that's
agree.
one's been pushed back at least twice so far. So yeah.
Yeah, it was one of them games that honestly they should have held off on announcing it. So
Oh yeah, totally agree there. That was because that's like we just discussed. That is one that unless they do something about it, it's not gonna do as well when it does release because they've kind of hurt their fan base a bit by doing that and let other things come out, and we'll see how it goes.
right.
Do you have any questions for me while I look this up?
Uh, Not that I can think of right offhand. That was kind of the curveball of this. I didn't think I would be able to ask you anything, but then again, as much as I've asked you off stream, shoot.
I mean, you're welcome
As
to bring
far
up
as
any of
on
those
stream.
questions again.
Well, I know, like you mentioned earlier, for me, streaming from console, there's definitely going to be a transition going from console to actually having an overlay from the PC and everything. Is there anything I should try focusing on first and foremost besides the PC itself? Like once I get the hardware, what should I focus on first?
In terms
Like should I
of what?
like attachments? Like should I worry about getting a good camera or a good overlay or just what games I play on the PC or what should I focus on once I get that hardware going? Because if we're going to talk about streaming from the console, believe me when I say once that transition happens, it's going to be a big leap for sure.
Oh, right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So the biggest thing that so first of all, I would say, do you listen to podcasts?
Yes.
So there's a podcast. This is actually uh Amy's a partner streamer with them, and that is the True Gaming. They
Hmm.
have a podcast called Stream Key, and that's a good one to listen to. And one of the big things they talk about is the mic is one mic and camera are two of the things that probably the biggest things on your stream. Overlays can
Right.
mean nothing if you don't have a good mic where people can understand, hear you, and understand you, or a camera where they can see your reaction.
Right. And that was the biggest thing I noticed on the console, even like before I picked up the Kinect and had the face casting, I would barely get any viewers at a time. People could hear my reaction, but they couldn't see it. Especially with scarier games, it's one thing to hear somebody versus see it. So I can definitely understand that.
Right, and so, you can get a decent webcam for, $50 to $100, depending on,
Right.
um, like the Logitech C920. I think it's 50. The 922 is 100. I have the 922, but it's I realized after I got it, it's not worth it. You don't need anything above 720 anyways for the camera. So
Right.
you definitely got a $50 version on that. And then
Yeah, one of the ones I was looking at was the Razer Keo that had a built-in Streamlight in it. And that was one that really caught my attention based on the reviews I've seen from everybody. Even from one of our own, Nick Uncut, he was talking about how that's going to be his camera that he upgrades to.
I've not even seen that.
Yeah, it's one that Razer makes. It's a webcam that's got the ring light built into it. It's pretty
Oh,
nice.
interesting. Yeah, I can see where that'd be useful. I won't get anything like that. Um, for me, at least for me personally. I
Right.
plan to eventually get actual like key lights, like you see Elgato makes.
Right. Yeah,
I
those are amazing.
I want to get something like that because my goal is eventually to do a green screen behind me. So, but if you're just gonna have for anyone who's just maybe just getting started or wants to do just standard, your standard stuff, it can be just something like that. Oh, like you were just talking about, that Nick was gonna get, would be great.
Gotcha.
And so the other big thing is gonna be your, of course, your mic.
Yeah, and thankfully, I got set up good with the headset. Nick even recommended these I'm wearing now, these HyperXs. There's a microphone they make that I really want to get, and it has everything built into it, but it's gonna be about $150 for the microphone.
Yeah. What mic is it? Do you know?
It's called the HyperX Quadcast. So that's one I'm definitely looking to get eventually. And the reason I was mentioning this headset
Oh
is
yeah,
it came with the cable to where I could take microphone off the headset and use that as my broadcast microphone.
I've seen a lot of streamers use this. I didn't know what it was called.
Well, there you go. Yeah, it's one of the deals that as soon as I got led onto the headphones, I started exploring everything HyperX made just to see what all was out there because it's one of the type of deals that I love having variety in what I can purchase and what I can get. Like everything, it's not just gaming and gaming gear. I'm one of the type of guys I don't like eating the same meal twice. At
Right.
least not in a
Um,
row.
Keep in mind, just a heads up on that mic. That's a condenser mic. Um,
Hmm.
you will pick up some background noise.
Yeah, and I've been told if I get that, to make sure I get the what are they called? The attachments onto the microphone that will hopefully filter out the background noise, the ones that stand out a little bit. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Like a pop filter.
I think so, yeah.
Well, it has a built-in pop filter according to what I just saw. Um,
Yeah, that was a new attachment they brought out to it originally. When they first advertised it, it didn't have one.
yeah, I have to figure out what the attachments goes with it. But yeah, something you can do as well is, um, in order to help with the background noise, you won't be able to
Hmm.
filter out, say, the background noise per se, but you can avoid, like, if you're not talking, having just background noise play. Is in OBS, you can actually set a noise gate. I'm not sure if you've ever know what that is.
No, I have no idea. Like a lot of stuff I've learned from streaming, I've learned from you, from Amy, from a few other friends. So
Yeah.
it's definitely been a journey.
A noise gate is like a filter on your mic. It's a software thing, and you
Hmm.
basically say anything below this frequency or of noise, just like remove it.
Hmm.
And so what you can do is, when you're looking at OBS, you see the mixer where you see as you're talking it goes green, yellow, red, etc. to show how loud you are.
Hmm.
What you do is you just don't say a word, don't make any noise at all, and just watch that go. See how high of a level it is, and you just adjust that noise gate until all that sound it's showing goes away. And then you talk and make sure the mic can still pick you up. If the mic still picks you up, you'll cancel out any sound in the background.
Wow. See, I didn't even know you could do such a thing.
Yeah, you won't like if you're talking, it'll still pick up the sound that's in the background while you're talking, but it'll pick up anything
Hmm.
if you're quiet or something like that. And so it won't pick up like say if your computer's a little loud, something like that, and you're not talking, it won't pick it up. Things like that.
Got it.
I actually have
And
a
even then, dude. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I actually do that for mine because my PC at times because my case is I need to replace my case, and so sometimes at times it makes like a little racket. So I actually do that for mine. So when I'm not talking or if I am talking, it kind of cancels out that sound.
Gotcha. All
So
right.
yeah, that's all stuff you can do on the computer. So it's not like anything you have to really worry about buying or anything like that. Like I said, the biggest things as you change from streaming only on console to PC is like I said the microphone and the camera.
Gotcha.
Because you
Yeah,
can
the
get
camera's definitely
because
gonna
you
be
can get cheap or free overlays, pretty easily online. So
right. Yeah, and the camera's gonna be the biggest thing for me for sure because the Kinect camera was the only option I had on console. Honestly, there wasn't anything else I could hook up that would work with it, as far as I could tell, because of the software. So whenever I get the PC, the camera's definitely gonna be the biggest thing because I know I have my headset for now for the microphone, but then upgrading from it later on would definitely be the best priority.
yeah, yeah. Because you're talking through that microphone on your headset now, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So right now it sounds great. And so you could definitely use that. And then as things progress, and you might eventually want a microphone that's separate from that. I know if you're anything like me, those mics on there can get annoying after a while.
Well, it doesn't bother me as much. The only thing that worries me about it, and you've seen this firsthand, is when I'm streaming, I have a lot of people playing with me and we're talking and everything. This sometimes will pick up the noise from my headset itself.
Right. Yep. And
So
so,
that would be the main reason I get it.
oh yeah, totally agree. Any other questions you have?
That'd be about the only thing I could think of at the moment.
All right. Are there any topics you got to talk about? Because we've been going about an hour now.
uh, well, let me ask you this. What was it that kept you going in Division 2 now that you've gotten back into it? Is it just the preparation for the new DLC, or is it just that it's something different to get back into after so long away from it?
So for those who don't know, I'm also like you. I'm a variety streamer, and so I don't stick to games very long. Um, um, I've I have actually in a single stream the most I've ever done. I've switched between 5 games to single stream.
Wow.
Yes, and that was a mixture of frustration with other things, maybe a game issue or uh had like the night it happened. I started off in Siege, got really upset at the random people that was joining and saying dumb crap. So I switched up from that to something else, and then I think the next one I played it for like 10 minutes because the game kept crashing on me. Switched up to a different game, and it's just like one thing after another that night. So that night was just a mix of things, but generally I'll play a single game through unless I like beat the game or something like that. I'll play the same game uh, through an entire stream, but I'll play a game. The longest I've ever been was I'll spend a month on a game or something like that. Long enough for me to play the game. I usually beat it. Um, I forgot what my point was. What was the original question?
Well,
Sorry.
it was asking what was it in the Division Two that brought you back after so long. I guess
Right.
is the best
So
way
it
to
was the
describe it.
so I say all that to lead to the point of I had been away from the Vision Two for 8 months, and hearing about this update, I was thinking, okay, I wonder what's changed since then. And I kept hearing about things, and I was like, okay, let me try this. And I was like, you know, there's gonna be a new raid. I really want to beat the original raid. I wonder how the gear has changed, and could I improve my gear to be raid ready? And I went in the course of 2 afternoons to I was doing so in terms of for those you don't know, um, they somehow take a gun and take all the things about it. You know, there's a lot if there's a lot of recoil and all these other things. They somehow take and make a formula from that and get a damage per second. How
Right.
in the world they do that, I have no idea. um,
The the basic from what I've understood, the damage per second is how many rounds you can get into a target with the base damage of each bullet, and then the reload with it, and it all adds up to a minute is the best way to describe it. Like
right,
that's why they have the firing range inside the base of ops to help show that. But as far as how they put it into the actual guns like DPS calculator, that's a whole different story.
right. But like you said, they each one there's a formula for it, but each one has a base damage. But how you decide, like this gun has a base damage of that, like things like that. It's like a gun. They're all gonna kill you or they're all gonna hurt you. It's like how do you determine that number? And so, uh, I remember when doing the first raid, one or two guys had like a million damage per. Is it damage per minute or damage per second, whatever it is?
Hmm.
They were like a million. I was like at 200,000.
Wow.
So I was way under, and like I never could get leveled up beyond that. You know, I wouldn't spend enough time on it or something like that. So it's like I really want to see what I can do with these updates. And one afternoon, I just went through and I got up to 300,000. The next afternoon, I just got the right gear, I guess, and I got up to a million. So now it's
There
more
you
like,
go.
what can I do before this update to be ready for the raid? And then once the update comes into effect, because all the YouTube videos you find now for there's this is how I built my build, or this I got this build that does this damage, or these focus on these things. All that's gonna be mute come the update, because
Exactly.
like they're
Yeah.
getting rid of like damage to elites and other things like that, and so um it's like this is gonna be great for the first like this next week and like maybe a week after that, but until these people get these new uh uh videos out that explain how it affects the builds. And so it's like, okay, let's see what the best I can get before that is.
Right.
And so from that, and then so that was kind of my goal, getting back into it. And now it's kind of like that plus, oh, let's see what else changed and see like what uh what's new to the game. Because like we said earlier, there's all those areas I hadn't touched yet, and it's like wow, they have added this too. So that's kind of what's kept me going, get back into it.
Yeah, and I will say for you having been out for several months, it's definitely the best experience coming back into it because as like I said, when each DLC came out, each episode came out, they would add a few things here and there, like a few new weapons and then a few new missions. But other than that, the gameplay aspect of it was maybe adding on 10 to 20 hours of gameplay at best. At worst, you were looking at maybe 8 to 4 hours, give or take, and that was after you just beat the mission. Because again, it's just a looter shooter. You don't know what you're going to get for sure. And they've done the loot allocation areas now, but even then, you don't have a specific mission to give you this specific piece of gear based off this actual brand. It's either you're getting like a face mask or you're getting Providence Defense gear, but you're not going to get for sure a Providence Defense mask.
Right,
So I
because
know
like,
that's
yeah, because that was one of the things that did change since last time I played was I noticed that whenever you do a certain mission, it's like there's a higher chance of getting a certain type of gear, but there's no guarantee it's gonna be a mask or guarantee it's gonna be a chest armor or something like that. You're gonna get something that type, but you don't know what it's gonna be.
and even then the allocations only work for I think they said maybe 25 to 50% of the gear you're getting from the mission. You could still get a random item nonetheless.
Right. Yeah, I had
So
one
I know
earlier.
that's
It was a better chance to get uh what the defense one. I can't think of what it's called.
Providence defense.
Yeah, Providence defense. It was a higher chance of getting that, but I ended up getting something like the uh starts with a K. I can't remember what it's called, but
Oh, I know which one you're talking about too. I'm trying to think of the actual name. But I get what you're saying though. You know, it's like we were both saying. You know, you could try to get a certain gear, but you still don't have no guarantees.
right. Pulling it up so I can get the right. Yeah, every time I look it up, I keep come up with gear sets. That's a horde, and that is so different than Division One.
Yeah, definitely. Speaking of which, they did announce they're bringing back the Striker gear set, and I don't know how I feel about it.
Oh, I'm excited about that. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Striker gear is what I wore in Division One.
yeah, and the Striker's good, but I'm afraid it's gonna break the game like it did for the Division One. Because it'll be, I remember in Division One, the gear sets were a must-have, like Sentry and Striker were like the go-to gear sets for everybody.
What was
And
the
after that,
second one besides Striker?
uh, Sentry. Sentry was the sniper one. Striker was the full auto. Like the best way to describe it was Sentry was for your semi-autos. Striker was for your full autos.
Gotcha. Yeah. So the Striker battle gear, uh, the full thing was every consecutive hit deals 1% more damage. That's up to 100%.
Yeah, and they did dumb it down for this one. They said that it's going to be 0.5% per hit with a max, I believe, of 25 or 50, and then the chest piece is going to double that.
So basically up to 50%.
Right,
So I don't think it's gonna be as bad as Division One then, because like I said, in
right.
the for the having the four pieces gave you up to 100% stacking.
Well, even then, it wasn't that it was four pieces. It's going to be four pieces of Division 2. I remember in Division 1, you had to have all six of them.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
So that's one thing I am looking forward to is that it's no longer a six-piece set. It's going to be a four at most because that's where it starts ruining the game for me. Where I have to have six, all my gear pieces be this exact gear set and it's spec for just that. I hate it. I love having variety in my build. Even before they announced the gear sets, I was always running a hybrid build. Like people were like, "How are you getting that much damage with a drone and a turret, but you're still damaging enemies with your assault rifle?" It's like, well, because I try to balance it out. I don't try to run all of the same pieces in
Right,
a
and
single
so
gear
and
set.
so one of the things that was bad about the 6 piece set in Division One was, like you said, if you have a secondary weapon for a reason, but your your armor, your gear set would like it would be focused all on your primary weapon. So it's like if you ever run out of ammo or if you end up in a big firefight where you're by yourself and you got to switch your separate secondary weapon, it's like you're going to do less damage because your gear set's not tailored to it.
Exactly, and that's one of the things I hate about the Striker set of all things, because Striker was good for your weapons, but when it came to your skills, you were essentially dumping everything into your weapons, and your skills no longer played a role in your combat effectiveness.
Right. I'm pulling up. If I can hit two and not one. I'm seeing what they're saying about it in the second one. If it even comes up. So I'm kind of curious to see how it's gonna be different.
Yeah, where I found it was on their Twitter page. That's how I've been following all the games that are coming out and all the ones I play now. Like I follow Battlefield on there, Division. So,
There's
and I will
also
say
gonna
that's
be
one
a
thing
system corruption gear set as well.
Yeah, that one I saw was more for the Dark Zone than anything. They tried that in Division One, and I don't know how I feel about it because I can't remember the name of the gear set they did for the Division One, but it was one of the gear sets. People tried it out, and it was not effective at all. It was one of the ones that hurt you more than helped you. So it's gonna be. I feel it's gonna be one of the ones that I have to watch closely and see what other people say about it, and then see how it helps out or becomes a detriment, and then go from there. Because the way I did it for the first one was I watched people's opinions, I got the gear set, I tried it out, and then demolished it after for the first one. So for the second one, it's gonna be the same process. I'm gonna see how these bigger YouTubers grind for it, get a hold of it, try it out, see how best to get it. Then I'm gonna get it myself, take it into the dark zone, try it out, and then make my opinion based off that.
Right. I'm looking through the different ones. Reclaimer, that's what I use in Division 1. I was a support station person.
Yeah, and that was a nice one.
I missed the support station.
That one was definitely helpful. Now they just have this hive that does it for you, but it's not like support station where you can have it set to both heal you and then revive you. It's one or the other. And I see so many players in the Division One running just that reviver, and it helps as far as one player, but then the rest of the team not so much. Versus that support station back in Division One, if your whole team went down and you have one of them down, you could pretty much get the whole team back up, no problem.
Right. It was great for a being a teammate, really pushing
Exactly.
that teammate. And I feel like they don't have that in Division 2. There's nothing really like you have to be very targeted. Like I'm gonna use the hive and I'm gonna heal you with this, or because the hive you can make it where it heals anybody that's within the circle,
Right.
but it's like it's not the same as support station was.
Exactly. The support station will heal everyone at once. The hive heals one person at a time.
Yes.
I will say there is one I'm testing out now that I'm trying out. There's a modified version of the Centurion Shield with the oh, I can't remember the name of the class, the flamethrower one that you get the specialization for it.
Yeah, that's what I'm
And
working on now.
yeah, the shield has it to where based
Firewall.
off the number of enemies in front of you, yeah, firewall. Based off the number of enemies in front of you, it buffs your damage, and then based off that as well, there's a cone that's behind you. The teammates take a damage reduction in that cone, I believe it is, or it's a damage increase as far as their weapons output. I'm not sure which. It's something I'm trying to get a team together and test. But that may be the first actual team-based skill that works in Division Two. But even then, it's one of them deals that the cone's so narrow that the guy with the shield is going to have to be focused on a single area ahead, and his teammates are going to have to handle everybody off to the side. Because the moment you turn that cone moves, it's ineffective.
Yeah.
Like your whole team has to move so fast to stay in it.
And that's the thing that makes no sense to me. Like the developers are building a team-based game. You can play
Yep.
it single player, but most of the people are getting together a squad or a clan or something like that. And even though, like I said, you can play it single player, but if you're playing single player, you're gonna constantly hear so and so has requested help. So and so has requested
Yep.
help. It's like they want you to play multiplayer, and it's like if they want you to play multiplayer, trying a lot here so people can see me. And they do want you to play multiplayer, why not really push those team skills?
Yeah, it's definitely something I noticed when Division Two released that was a problem at first. Yeah, the drones and the healer drones or the healing stuff helps out, but it's not as effective as in the first one. They definitely made it more friendly to solo players because I know that was the complaint in Division One was, oh, I'm a solo player, I can only get so far. Now in Division Two, it's like, hey, I'm playing as a team. We can't really back each other up other than communicating where the enemy is and trying to shoot them. So they're definitely trying to figure out that balancing act on what works best, and that's one thing I've noticed over the years with both games. So I think that's where this next update's going to come into play. Is because for now it's been skills. The higher your skill level is, the more it helps out, and they definitely gave them a buff in each. And then there were skill mods that you had to have a certain level of a skill for that in order to be able to use. They
Yep.
said this next update is it's no longer going to be skill level as far as numbers, but it's going to be tiers. So instead of a piece of gear adding like say 566 skill powers. Oh, you have this one skill. Guess what? That's one skill level going up. And then the mods for the gear is actually going to have that base level requirement removed. So all gear mods are going to boost, and there's no requirements. And so I'm definitely looking forward to that.
Oh, I am too, because that was the thing with the sports section was like you had, your gear, your skill level for that stuff, but like with Division 2, it's like my gear my skill score is like somewhere between 2 and 500, and all the things I keep getting are like, oh, you gotta be between 1,000 and 3,000. It's like,
Yeah,
how in the world am I gonna get anywhere that high for this to even be useful to me? It's like I might as well.
exactly. See,
It's
for
like
my main
you have to
character, I
put
did
something that's
manage to
like
get
level
up that
10
high,
on
and it's
it.
difficult. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's like
Like
I'm
when you're
level
first
30
starting
and
the
you
game
have to put
out.
level 10. It's like that doesn't add up.
Yeah, exactly. And it gets difficult to try to find that balancing act for it. So that's why I'm looking forward to the no update for sure. Because even when I did it on my main, getting it to that point, I never had that in the level 1 to 30 progression. I at that point, skill level at that point just didn't matter. It was one of them deals. Yeah, the skills were helpful, but it's not my core focus on what I get in gear. Then post level 30, it was okay. This gear has multiple slots for different talents I can have on there. Like I could get one with extra armor and skill power, weapon damage on the chest, and that's gonna help. Okay, what do I want to have on the holster? Do I want to have a weapon increase in critical hit chance, or do I want to go with skill power? And that's been where the trouble has been in the skills in the Division 2 versus Division 1. It was clear as day. Hey, if you had this level piece, it helped you out as far as your skill power.
Right. Yep. I can't wait for Tuesday. I can't wait to see what they do with this thing.
Oh, definitely that, and I can't wait for the story. That's gonna be the biggest thing because like you said, the game's been out about a year. We've been stuck on the same map for about a year.
Yeah.
And now this new update comes out with a whole new map that's a 1-to-1 scale of downtown Manhattan. That's going to be fun to explore in of itself, let
That's
alone
gonna
the
be a big
story.
map.
Yeah, that was my biggest complaint of the Division 1. They hyped it up saying, "Yeah, you're going to be in New York and uptown Manhattan," but then they downscaled the map, and it was just like, why would you do that? If you're going to have a massive map, let's make it massive.
Yeah.
And I feel they did learn from that mistake. With Division 2, it is a 1-to-1 scale of Washington, D.C. I even watched the documentary on the making of the map. They had someone live in D.C., talk with the officials there, get photographs of everything, and went true scale. So if they do the same thing with downtown Manhattan, it's going to be amazing.
Yeah. Oh man, that reminds me. I remember first the stream where when I first played Division 2. I had went to DC um back in 2011, something like that, and I remember going down one of the streets this was in like the private beta.
Right?
I was streaming it, and I remember going down one of the streets, and hey, this is where this is. Go down a block, over a block. Oh, hey, it's here in the game. And it's like I remembered like various things just from me walking around Washington D.C. and seeing all these things. It's like it was so accurate from what I remembered. It was like insane to me.
Yeah, that's one of the things I loved about it. Like whenever I saw the developer interview about it and then saw people's reactions that actually lived in DC and they're like, yeah, this is actually where this is at. This street really is that long and yeah, you can really go this way to get this way. It was like, okay, they learned from their mistake from Division 1 on the map itself. Now let's see what else they bring to the table as far as things they've learned from Division 1 into the Division 2. And they've stayed on top of that. The biggest thing I noticed in difference was the enemies like health and resistance. I don't know if you remember Division 1 enemies were tanky and bullet sponges and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Versus Division 2, I've now got it set with normal enemies on level 30 World Tier 5. I could take down the base enemies, about 4 of them with a single magazine from an assault rifle. Versus Division 1, you could not do that.
Right. Now, one thing I want to mention about the map, you got to keep in mind who this is building this thing. This is Ubisoft. Ubisoft
Right.
is the same company that makes Assassin's Creed, and they actually was it what was the Notre Dame that had the fire or something like that?
Yes, you're talking about the Notre Dame Cathedral that they had such an accurate 3D model of it that the builders who were going to rebuild the cathedral got in touch with Ubisoft to get that 3D model to help with the plans. And I
Yep.
will say that's one thing they do very well is accuracy as far as like historical events or areas. So you're
Right.
right.
Yeah, and so they've been doing this so long now that it's not surprising to me they got so accurate of a map of Washington D.C. because they've been doing all these Assassin's Creed games where they're trying to get these accurate maps of what it might have been like back then, or even what it's like now, like the roads and things like that. It's not surprising to me that they're able to do it in that accuracy.
Exactly. Definitely. And they definitely took their time on this one. That's one thing I appreciate. I will say Division 1 felt not necessarily rushed, but what's the term I'm looking for? Flip-floppy, I guess, for lack of a better term, because originally they were trying to decide where they want the map to be. Because I mean, let's face it, New York has multiple islands. Every island's different based off what's there. You know, one island's more residential, one's more of a business area, one's a mix of both.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why they went with Uptown Manhattan because it was more industrialized and uptown like living. So versus Division Two, they're like, okay, you know what? We're going with Washington D.C. We're going to stick with this one area. Let's develop that, and that's where the differences were made for sure.
Right. I'm curious to see because you're going to Manhattan. I'm curious to see if they introduce at some point anything where it re-pulls you back into Division One type of stuff.
Well, they already said there's going to be something like that. They mentioned the possibility of to make your Division One characters look the same way in Division Two. Like the way they're going to do it is they can port your look from the Division One into the Division Two, but as far as all your old gear, none of that's going to be coming with
No,
it.
I don't mean like that, but like because like there are some games, Dragon Ball, for example, Dragon Ball,
Mhm.
the Xenoverse. Have you ever played that one?
Yes.
So you remember how Xenoverse One, Xenoverse Two, you pulled in your story or you whatever, and you had your characters on the big thing, and it's like people in the game referred to that person and things like that. Think that's what I'm referring to.
Right.
Something like that where maybe you they recognize, hey, maybe give your character a name or something like that from Division One, and give your character in Division Two a name, and you can be able to say, hey, uh, say I named my character in Division Two Palace. Palace was as good as Palace One or whatever like that,
Right.
and you become as famous as them or well known within the division. Like, oh, we can rely on Palace for these things or something like that. Sort of tie
Yeah,
the two together.
that's where they said the looks coming from, but as far as like the story you built up, it's not going to be something the NPCs recognize. And that being said, they are bringing in NPCs from the Division One into Two, like Fei Lao and Rhodes. I think that's what his name
Yep.
is. They're going to be in it, but that's really going to be about it.
Yeah, but you see why? Because it's the same. Because it's a continuation of the story from Division One, just a different location.
Right.
But
Exactly.
since you're going back to New York, it'd be cool to tie that in.
Yeah, it would be. And I got a feeling they're going to do a little bit of that, but it's not going to be based off each players. It's going to be based off the community as a whole, I feel like.
Right.
And if they do that, they haven't announced it yet. The biggest thing I'm looking forward to is being able to import your old characters' looks into Division 2 for Manhattan because they said the coolest thing for it, I mean, let's be honest, considering you can make how your character want, you know, you make them look however, you can have a little bit of a role playing aspect to that. And they said that people that play the Division 1 and come into Division 2 fresh and have this look, they could say, well, I was in downtown Manhattan the whole time. Where have you been?
Right. Yes, that would be cool. Like, yeah, it would be cool if you could import your character per se and have it to where your character is a NPC.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
Because then you're going back to Manhattan. It's like, oh, your character's over here doing his thing, and you're over here in part two, and you're interacting with your character. That would be awesome.
Exactly. I don't know how far they're going to go into that though. That's one thing they've only delved into a little bit when they did their live stream talking about what all was coming with
Right.
Division Two's
Well, I
new
mean,
expansion. Which,
but the thing about that is though, it doesn't have to be this update they do that,
yeah,
because it is a what's the where they're continuing doing updates. And so they could very well at some point add an expansion on the Manhattan chain where you then have to go and do a mission with your first character. Very well could.
exactly.
So
Yeah, that is a very good possibility, and I hope they do something like that because it would help tie in the games really well. that has been the only issue as far as between 1 and 2 is that there's no tie-in per se. They definitely go off the history of it, and they give you a lot of echoes and a lot of communications as to far what happened in the Division One. But there's been nothing directly linking the two. Like
The only thing linking
the
it,
division,
the only thing linking it is you start off in DC, up in New York, and you go to DC.
well, even then, it's not necessarily New York. They don't necessarily say where you are as
That's
far
true.
as where you're starting,
That is true.
because the way they did it, it's definitely somewhere on the coast because there is a riverfront, they said, or an ocean front. But other than that, I mean, the character, the air agent you're with, you can see on their hat it says Wildlife Services, but it doesn't even say where.
Yeah.
So we don't know how far your agent has traveled to get to DC. We don't know where he came from. We don't even know where the agent you meet up with again, where she came from. It's just been one of them deals that you go around hunting for echoes. Like there's one in particular, it was a communication from the division headquarters talking about how Aaron Keener went rogue and how he's now a high value target. And it definitely explains the green poison a good bit, but there's been no tie-in. Like it's so bad that when people come and ask me, like you said earlier, I work at GameStop. They ask, "Hey, I want to play the Division Two, but do I need to play the Division One?" I go, "No, you really don't. I mean, the Division Two kind of explains the core aspect of the story to you, and there's nothing really in the Division One that you would need to see in order to be able to play the Division Two." And there's no reason to do so because nothing ties in from your character from that game into the second.
Right. Yeah.
So I definitely see what you're saying. It'd be nice if they tie them in somehow. But at the same time, you got to think they've already gone pretty big with the story of itself. For them to tie in any certain areas, that's really going to start to become difficult. Because if they do that, what's to stop them from, say, creating a Division 3 that takes place in California and kind of find out your agent has flown over there? Then they got to explain the whole aspect of how you got over there to begin with versus the way they did it for this one. If they do a Division 3 and it takes place in California, they can just say, "Oh, you're an agent who was there this whole time. You don't know what's going on as far as on the East Coast. You're just trying to make it out here."
Well, no, yeah, I'm not saying that at all. What I was saying was a tie in as far as showing your character still at that location,
Yeah,
but you're a different, like you're on Division 2, you're a different agent the whole time.
right,
And just a tie in as far as the story goes, like what happened after your character, after you beat Division 1 with your character, things like that. What happened in New York. Because all you see is, in the beginning of Division 2, is you're somewhere, like you said. You may be in New York,
right,
may not be. But what happens after that point in New York, and just tying things together with what's happening in DC at that point.
right. Exactly.
So, yeah,
Yeah, it would be interesting to see. All right, let's hope they do something like that in a future update.
yeah. Do you have anything else you want to cover?
Uh, I think I can think of her offhand. I mean, like you said, we got a few games coming out this year. Uh, any you think are going to fly under the radar and are actually going to end up being fun games?
I think the Pokemon game is going to fly under the radar. The
You're talking
Mystery
about the
Dungeon.
yeah.
Yeah,
I could definitely see your point on that.
yeah. I see that one flying under the radar because everybody got hyped about it for like a day or two, and then that was it. And then
Yeah.
that's next month. I think it comes out. So
Yeah, it comes out next month.
yeah, so that's gonna be. I think that one's gonna fly under the radar the whole time.
For me, I think it's going to be. Granted, Animal Crossing's already been hyped up as much as it is, but I got a feeling it's still a little bit under the radar as far as what else coming to it. And I feel like once everyone sees what's in that game, it's going to blow up.
Yeah.
Because I made the same prediction for World War Z last year. It was one, even like GameStop as a company was like, "Oh, this game's not going to sell that much. We're only going to send like 5 copies to each store." And within 2 days, that game was sold out everywhere. Like I could not find it even for myself.
Wow.
Yeah, so I got a feeling Animal Crossing is going to be the same way in a way. But then besides that, there's not really many other games coming this year, I feel like. Because all the big games that have been hyped up they've been hyped up and been well known and they're out there. But at the same time, this is a year where they're, like you said, they're holding back, trying to see either about just waiting for the next generation of console to come out or to see what they need to do to make it work between both.
Right. So you mentioned getting that for yourself. Do they not let you pre-order games?
Oh, they do, yes. You can pre-order games all day, but then there's certain games that I may keep an eye on to the last minute, and they really don't have a way of telling us how they cut off a pre-order other than generally if they don't cut it off, it's usually within the last week at best for like deluxe editions and things like that, but that's because they've got a set amount they're shipping out. But then after that, I mean, you can pre-order usually up to the last minute. It's been more or less for me, like for World War Z, I had that gut feeling, but at the same time, I definitely wanted to try it out before I bought it. But the game was so like it's made in such a well universe between the book and the movie that I was like, yeah, it is going to sell well, but it went even above my expectations, which were already higher than most people's.
Right.
But as far as pre-ordering, yeah, dude, we generally get to see what comes out first. Like I've got a Mandalorian jewelry set that I pre-ordered, and they're only making 9,500 of, so
Wow.
yeah.
All right. Um. Well, unless you have something else, that's all I had.
That's about all I can think of, honestly. But again, this is my first time doing something like this as well, so
Yep. And so that's part of the challenge with each person I interview is or talk with is come up with things that we can both talk about. And since we
right,
both were so focused, because I play a variety of things. I play more than just shooters, but that's
right.
something what I know we both have in common is shooter games. So that was kind of my focus today. And because we both have been playing Division 2, that took up most of the conversation. Uh,
It did. And at the same time, that new DLC is definitely going to be something that brings life back to the game, I feel like. And that's definitely why we were talking about it.
yeah. Um, so unless you have something else, um, let's wrap up by telling everybody where they can find you.
On my Twitch, it's the same as it is now, snipereye2010. On Twitter, it's snipereye_2010. It even says on there my actual name, my first name, not my last. That's really about the best place you can find me. I've got a Discord channel as well. If you go onto my Twitch channel and type in !Discord, it brings up a link for it. I generally try to post the updates both to Discord and over to onto Twitter itself. So
There we go. I misspelled it.
yeah, I saw that. It's all good. But yeah, that's definitely the best place to catch me is either through my Twitter or my Discord when I'm not on stream. Because Twitter, I always try to keep the updates there. Discord, I'm trying to still build up the community there, and I love being social as much as possible. So if people want to talk to me off of there, that's definitely the best place to do it.
Cool. And like always, I am PallasStreams. PallasStreams everywhere except YouTube, which is Pallas. That's pretty much it. I won't shout myself out, but thank you again for hanging out with me today. I'm glad we are able to finally get you on.
Oh yeah, definitely glad that I was able to get on. Like I said, the fact that the podcast generally takes place on Saturdays and I was generally working on Saturdays, believe me, it was hitting me in the gut and I was beyond sad I couldn't get on. Then finally the opportunity presented itself and I was like, all right, I got to jump on this and get on because being with the stream team has been the best thing possible and to be able to get on the podcast. Like I said, not only is this the first time I've done something like this, but to be able to do so with the team is exciting.
Yeah. And again, the podcast doesn't have to be on Saturday. If you ever want to be on it, if we can work out a day where me and you both can be available, or if anyone else that knows how to host it can be available as well, we can definitely get a podcast episode going.
Right.
So, thank you to everyone who's in chat for hanging out with us today. Hope you stick around for the raid. Oh, we got something special. Miss Hobo Slayer is doing a bonus stream today, so we're gonna raid her. We've never raided her before on this channel. So stick around for that raid, and we'll see you all next time.
Okay. Dude, that was fun.